And welcome to the East County Sports Report. I'm Ramon Scott, and I'm joined by my partner at East County Sports, Dave Dickens, and joining us tonight from Lakeside, Mackenzie Curtis of the El Capitan Vaqueros and El Capitan head coach, Darren Curtis. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. I hope you're staying safe, and God bless you guys, and God bless you, Dave. And much love to all of our friends out in the East County community and throughout the county in this unprecedented time. And just going to be a memorable interview. Hey, I think it's awesome that we're all here. We're practicing social distancing with the Curtises right now, Dave.
Hey, I after seeing, I didn't see the whole thing, but you were talking about it earlier backstage, the way that Mackenzie handled the KUSI interview with Brandon earlier, and again, another true, like I said, a true professional. You've really come a long way since your freshman year, and I mean, you're already blessed with the talent on the floor, but it's not so much the talent on the floor, but it's you've done so much off the floor, and you can see that just in little excerpts of that interview that you did have with Brandon Stone. I mean, I can't even imagine sitting with next to him like that. That must have been something special within itself. You want to expand on that a bit?
I mean, yeah, you're completely right. I wouldn't pass up on that for anything. It was a cool experience to be in that set, just be on TV like that. It was a fun experience, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean something like that, and then I mean when did you decide you wanted to break the news? Did you both visit a few other colleges prior to this, universities? Or did you do any other physical travels, or was it just New Mexico?
So on the traveling part, I visited a bunch of different colleges. I had my benefits to New Mexico right before Christmas time. And I just fell in love with the school the moment I stepped on the campus. I got to witness the home game in the pit, which is an experience within itself. Like, it's one of the best arenas with the most amount of fans that you'll see in women's.
Absolutely.
It's insane the love that they have the girls' sports or any sports at New Mexico, and I knew I wanted to be a part of that. As for my decision and when I decided to make that decision, because of the virus, everything shut down, including my club sports. So I really had time to focus and really think about what I wanted in a school and really go over what my decision would be. I just had a lot of time to think about it, and every time I thought about it, it was just New Mexico is where I wanted to be. So I just knew whenever I made that decision that it was going to be the right one.
Coach, as a family, was the situation regarding obviously tonight's a little different story after the governor issued his decree tonight to stay indoors at least for a couple of weeks, if not a month now. But was that really a family decision for the last couple of days to make this decision now?
You were breaking up a little bit, but she's been sitting on that decision with New Mexico and been in contact with him almost daily, probably, and several other colleges. And it's sitting out. Probably the decision would have been the same. I think it just hurried the decision up because there was no colleges that are going to be looking at it. I mean, there's no one out there. There's no circuit this time, so it's likely to be shut down. So she wanted to go to New Mexico, and she's bummed that she doesn't get to play the circuit, but she's happy about going to New Mexico, and we're happy for her.
No, I think Ramon, were you getting at when you were starting to break up?
Yeah.
about the indoor outdoor?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I mean, look, this is a joyous occasion, but we're all having these circumstances right now. And if you can hear me a little better right now, Mackenzie, any of the surrounding circumstances with the events over the last week, did that expedite your decision to make your college commitment? I imagine you might still have wanted to do it in your junior year here, maybe as we approached the dates later on and stuff. But did that factor into the decision to make this announcement this week, the events surrounding the virus?
It changed.
He said my decision was whether I waited from now until the end of summer. But it definitely just sped up the process. So.
Yeah, because obviously, you know, with all the mandates that the governor unfortunately was stuck and faced with. Obviously, we could have had another 5 or 6 teams. I mean, we could talk about that all day long, but
let's talk about the good stuff.
That's what I'm getting at is bottom line, New Mexico. It sounds like you're really excited about it. How about the climate out there? Did you do a little sightseeing, kind of check out the lay of the land, if you will?
We did a little bit. When I was going through my process, something that I was really hoping for, looking for college, was that weather atmosphere was like that's something new, and something different in San Diego. And when we went on our visit, it was definitely not like so. That was just another reason why I love school.
I want to know if she's going to help turn those Lady Lobos around. They, I know we're talking about not next year, but the year after that. So hopefully they'll be on the improve, and maybe Mackenzie can help the Lobos win a few more games. I think they, will be happy to have you.
They, I talked to Coach Mike and Coach Bill several times, and we watched all their games streaming and plus the ones in person. But yeah, they lost 7 games by a bucket. And I mean, you win those 7 games. The year before that, they won those 7 games and took second and looked real good. So that comes. I felt their pain. We lost the last 3 games of our season by a basket. It cost us the state championship and knocked us out of CIS. So I feel their pain. I mean, that's just the way it ball bounces sometimes. But they hoping for a big recruiting class. They were real positive about Mackenzie on and her leadership as much as her basketball skills to be a part of their program. So,
Coach, you spoke briefly through via text with me about, and that's not really stepping away from the whole thing with New Mexico, but the team as a whole. You had explained to me through text that this was definitely one of the favorite teams that you had coached in your tenure in coaching girls basketball over at El Capitan High.
Oh yeah, they're the closest team I've ever coached. It was the easiest. They didn't miss practice. They weren't late. They always played hard. They were very tight off the court. It was fun to go to every day. So I could not ask more of them or ask to be around better people. So I enjoyed every minute of
it. You could see that, Coach. Just a couple of games that I had been able to step in on, not just the games, but even a practice, dropping off the shirt to Shy. Just you could tell the seriousness and the maturity level that you had on, and the focus that the team had during just the practice. I was only there for probably 6 or 7 minutes, and I'm trying to watch my 6-year-old running all over the place, and at the same time, I could still pick up the vibe that the girls were very in tune with what you as coaches were putting in, and very focused. And you're right, that's something I hadn't seen with several teams in the Grossmont Conference. For that being said, it definitely was one of the more in tune and focused teams.
That's a credit to them. They put up with me. The assistant coaches are the positive ones. I'm the negative one, and they chuckle under the breath at me. But it's a give and take. There's a lot of time, a lot of human practice underneath. But they're there to work, and it's all Mackenzie can speak to that. She has it harder than anybody with me writing.
Yeah, but coach, you know what? Besides, there's only one other coach I would rather watch. Well, I wouldn't even say rather. There's two coaches I love watching on the sidelines, and that's just because of the passion. I watched John Singer since I was 10 years old. Since my dad would bring me, he'd say, "What game do you want to go to?" I said, "I want to go to that Helix game where the guy with the Fu Manchu, where he's screaming at the referees that they're wrong on half of the calls." So
yeah,
I would enjoy John Singer and all his antics. And you know what? He was right 9 times out of 10 anyhow. And then yourself, just the passion that you had. And I was able to see in some the Sweetwater tournament, for example, and just how fired up you got. And typically you were in the right, but just that it wasn't about the yelling. It was about that I saw how passionate you were with your girls and about where they were headed, and that you wanted that win for them.
Well, I appreciate the compliment. John Singer is a legendary coach in San Diego. In fact, when I played, he was coaching against us when I played at Helix. He's a show amongst himself, and probably he coached a lot like him. But a lot of that's just me enjoying the game. That's the way I get a chance to do it. You guys hear all the loud stuff. You can't hear the loud stuff. We don't hear the soft stuff in the huddles.
Well, it's not just about the last couple of years, but I'm sure that Mackenzie was one of the youngins running around practice back in the day. Dave, it's not just these 3 great years and maybe next year another great year, but Coach Curtis has been, I don't want to say it, coach, but he's been coaching longer than EastCountySports.com has been around. He goes back to the Dale, California days. I hope I got this graphic right, Coach. If not, we'll fix it. But it's got to be about that, right? Nearing 200 wins as the head coach of the girls' team. I almost want to go back and have him. We'll put Mackenzie on the all-time El Capitan girls team, but I bet Coach will come up with some big-time names. In the story when they beat Mount Miguel, they mentioned Cable as one of the great El Capitan girls players from back in the day. Who else would you throw on there, Coach? Some of the maybe throw in a couple of the girls that have really stood out over these last couple of years, if you want, but maybe take me back a little bit.
Well, going way back, my first picture was with her sister Jessica. So Cable will be on there. Then you had the Twin Towers when I had Heather Molson and Allison Duffy and her little sister Ashley came along. Those were all great ones. The head coach at San Mary's an all-time great. Stephanie Kendrick goes back all the way back to when Furl was coaching the girls back in '76 and '77, and with Gail Suttle, she goes to all the games, and her whole crew. I mean, that whole team was legendary there. They were number 1 in San Diego. But it's just a great sport. Basketball is not big in Lakeside, but we have great kids, and every once in a while we get one that's just a superstar. And so that list is pretty long. That Mackenzie's, I'd put her on that list for sure. Probably the best shooter we've ever had. Recently, Jordan didn't get to play her senior year, but Jordan was a standout the last 3 years. And then Marie Cook had a good 3 years, even though she struggled for the team she was on for a couple years. But they're great kids to have around. And honestly, now he runs off the ones that aren't fun to be around. They don't like me as much. So
talk about coaching legends. How about Ross Furrow? He coached both the boys and the girls at El Capitan High. I don't know. Back in the day, Coach, I don't know. I remember Coach Singer actually one year did both the boys and the girls. Might have been 2 years. Did Coach Furrow ever double?
Well, what happened was, in the late 70s, they ended up they moved the women's. It was a spring sport, and so the coaches were doing they would do boys and then followed up with the girls. All of them did it. Well, when it's the winter, then the coaches basically had to decide which way you're going to go. So all of them stepped with the boys. One of the ones that didn't was Wade Victory at Santana. He went with the girls, and therefore recently had success establishing that program. And I chased that for years, even trying to compete with that was. And then now it's Mount McGill. You got to. The girls basketball maybe on the whole is down, but the players and the teams come up on Buffalo's had a big run there for a while, and now he's rebuilding there. And Mount McGill's always reloading. Grossmont's become very consistent lately. So Helix was a threat, and so this year itself was probably the closest the league has ever been from top to bottom, where every game was on the line, and it showed in the scores.
You know, and going back to some of those games, it almost seems, and I know they're not just down the street like, say, West Hills is in terms of location, and then the Mount McGill, but we tend to forget about Grossmont, and Grossmont really is. You guys have been quite the rivalry in the last 3 years for sure. The heartbreaker that you had the year before last year, the buzzer right there. I mean, and then they had the whole situation with basically wanting to win it for Athena because Athena had gone down. And I mean, what a heck of a player to play against anyway. I'm sure Mackenzie can definitely attest to that, that Athena was another phenomenal player that I think was kind of robbed by injury, just like
parallel to Jordan, sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to make references. Same thing with Jordan, and kind of makes me think. And what I'm getting at is that 51-50 score. What would have happened if if we would have had Jordan in that game? And I know we don't like to play the what ifs, but I think that she could have made a heck of a difference in quite a few of those games, and maybe those 3 games maybe end up 2-1 or even 3-0. But to lose one of the terror twins, as I made reference to quite a few times, I think made quite the difference. And it was kind of really weird Grossmont team this year, I think, too, that you guys faced, because they were streaky, up and down, hard to predict, a lot different from last year.
Oh, yes. Mackenzie could speak to it, but everybody had a specific role, and so we had to be being short-handed. Everybody had to do their job, and so we were a little inconsistent if everybody wasn't doing their job. Usually, each join in and help Mackenzie put some on the board, and that was helpful. But everybody had to do their job. We were down to weak side rebounding with a specific job for somebody. So if you didn't do your job, it mattered. And so we had players that stepped up this year, like Stephanie Yackel came in and started most of the games this year, and that was huge to see. And so losing Jordan, yeah, it's a lot, but at the same time, you have somebody like Shai step up and became our point guard, and you have Stephanie come up and start playing. So, you don't play the what if game. You play with the cards you're dealt, and try to do it better the next time. And so inconsistency hurt because of depth, but certainly not from lack of effort.
Right,
Mackenzie.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
You got this last year, senior year coming up just around the corner, and you have been playing with a lot of these girls this will be 4 years. That's not very typical of a girls basketball team. And I want to kind of just press rewind real quick. Coach, and I don't like to disagree with Coach, but I think girls basketball is actually coming up. But that's because personally, I enjoy covering it so much that I think that it's growing, and I see more competition out there as far as media. But back to what I was getting at, Mackenzie. I mean, it's this is going to be your 4th year, and most of these girls are going to be so seasoned and a healthy team too. Going in this next season has got to be just as almost as exciting as the New Mexico commit, wouldn't you say?
I mean, first things first is my senior year. I am excited for New Mexico, but I still have one more year to get done. And the fact that we're gonna be a senior heavy team. With this was my first year having a senior. I couldn't play a game, so I went another year without having a senior. So now my 4th year. That's an experience within itself. And I know the girls and I are excited for it. Even though we're all having to stay home now, we're all still playing together. Just getting ready. This is your last one, and we're gonna make the best of it. So.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the great thing about this. Jordan missing this season notwithstanding, Dave, this is what we have to look forward to, despite the disappointment of not getting that league title and being eliminated in the first round. Everyone who is on that court is going to be back, right? I mean, we are a complete team there. Jordan was the only senior. So, yes, the rivalry with Mount Miguel, it's a rivalry now, okay, Matadors? And it's on, okay, because we got that win this year. And I think Robbie's excited that not that he lost, but hey, this is going to be a challenge for them. And even though the rivalry changed a little bit because of the personnel, you got to be confident going into those games next year. But Mackenzie, as sports writers or analysts or whatever we're doing here when we watch these games, we would like to say, you know what, you guys beat Mount Miguel, and then when you played Grossmont, it was a mental letdown. But I think the way you portrayed it that night and the way you talked about it right now, you said, frankly, we didn't do the job against Grossmont. How did that turn out for you as far as the way you felt after that Grossmont game? To just look, we talk about the great things going to Mexico. That's going to be great, but you have this now on your table. You put it aside. You made your commitment, and you said it yesterday on KUSI, league championship.
Yep. And Grossmont's in the league. I think that on a game that was I won, there's so many like, what if I didn't do this? What if I? But in reality, it's not one play that costs you a game. In my case, it was a half. I didn't show up for a half. On other things, they didn't rebound as much. I just felt that after the Grossmont game, it was like you said, we came up short a little bit. We all could have stepped up and done our jobs a little bit clearer. But I mean, I felt we battled the entire time in the entire season. And I think that showed against the Mount Miguel game when we came down by a lot and we fought and came back. It just came down to heart at the end of the season. Same thing against the Del Norte. We were winning and then we got down, but we didn't give up. And I think that was something big for our team, and it showed maturity because we never did give up this season. I thought no matter how far down we were, we continued to fight. And that just goes to show how much heart we have and how much love for the game we have. So.
Well, Mackenzie, I really thought that I wasn't going to lose a lunch this year to Ramon because I swore this was the year of the Vaquero. And even with media day, when your dad said his piece and included all those great teams in the division, I listened to that and I took that into consideration. But I I looked at everything, not just on paper, but watching you guys play early on, and I thought, this team and like you said, three games really. This team could win it all very easily. Not very easily, but this team is very capable of winning not only a league championship, but they're very capable of winning a CIF championship as well.
And a league championship, Coach Curtis. I would have put that first game on your home court last year. So you tell me from a coach's perspective, Mackenzie's making her own personnel excuse that she did not perform, but there's got to be some mentality to it when you're hosting a team like Grossmont, good team, championship experience in a way, and them nipping you in that game. Tell me.
Yeah, home court. We won both ones on the home court, both on the road. That schedule had flipped around to a clear schedule, and with Helix, we got Helix twice at home because they didn't have a gym. It certainly helps to be at home. And I think, Dave, your bet was looking good at the halfway point. We were on a roll, and I think we focused on the goal instead of the process, and that's my mistake as a coach. But that process every day in practice, getting better. The 51-50 will go the other way next time, or the league championship.
That was in Lakeside, right?
What's that?
That was in that was a home loss to Grossmont. Was that a road? Okay.
Oh yeah, we lost to Knoxville and Grossmont at their place.
They were both on the road. Sure. And Dave, with all due respect to you, I mean, the Matadors and Vaqueros, they did split those two regular season games. It was just that hiccup, if you will. And Grossmont, they had a good season. They actually may have reached their goals.
Grace does a good job. Robbie's always going to be the team to beat. So, and then Helix scared some people this year too. And in fact, West Hills was within a pass of Mount McGill's on the opening game of the season. I mean, top to bottom, that was tough. Not the rank or the divisions just came out, I think. So they have Mount McGill still in Division 1, and I think Grossmont's the top of Division 2. So they'll be the team to beat in Division 2.
Yeah, and that's the tough. Mackenzie wants to win that CIF championship, but we're in Division 1. There's going to be some great games next year. Mackenzie, how has the rivalry with the Matadors changed, given the personnel changes? You may or may not have been familiar with their three young stars coming into the season. So now that you've seen them and played them, that's going to benefit next year, right? Did you know much about the freshman players coming in?
Can you say the last part again? Sorry.
The freshman players of the Matadors, how has the rivalry changed with their great star Peterson leaving and the Matadors now having that young talent, and they were still very, very good? Did you know about their new freshman players coming into the season, and how will that change going forward now that you've faced them a couple of times?
Well, I mean, for the rivalry part, that's just not Bill versus El Cap. I mean, my sister went there. That was just and so when we won that first game against them, that was just like full El Paso basketball. If you've ever been in the program, like that win was for them. So I mean, that rivalry will always be there because that's just now in our blood type of thing. But coming into the season, we did know about the guards. We kind of knew, but playing them the first time and then watching. Two of them switched off on who was going to show up that night and be the star of the game. And coming into this season, I think our biggest goal is to play them straight on and not try to have a special defense for them. And I think that's something that we really worked on this past year in league was our defense and how we started off the first round with a different defense every game. And then we just worked so hard on our defense so we could just guard them evenly and on hand. And so I think we're just going to improve on that coming into the next season to try to stop those guards.
And one of those I I noticed in particular in the games that I actually attended live, and looking at the stats, but mostly watching live, was JC was huge for you all on defense for sure. That especially at the post and rebounding. When you say that she was probably one of your top five, along with Tiffany, of course, but she definitely was vital part of your defense.
That's JC Danks and Tiffany Bickford,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
JC's gotten better every time out. She's come new to the game. She didn't start playing until she got to high school, and she's only been playing us for 2 years. So there's a huge upside to her. I mean, she's 6'4". You can't teach her that. But she's got a lot to learn, and so she's gotten better. And really, honestly, with the bigs inside, and I've coached bigs for many years. It's patience with yourself, because you're so close. It looks like you should be successful every time, when in fact that's not going to be the case. And so you have to really be patient with yourself and willing to work hard. It says a lot about her to come from not being able to play to being a factor in the games.
Yeah, and I mentioned the other also, the growth of Tiffany Bickford has just been unreal compared to last year, and all the hard work that she did over in the off season, and all the work that she did at the beginning of the year. I mean, she really looked like a totally different player than she was the year prior.
Oh yeah, freshman year is always tough, and it showed in her game. And so she spends more time working than anybody on her game, and so it paid off. There's good confidence. She's got to just play with that she's put in the time and trust it.
And that was one of the things too. And was this by design, would you say? And I guess I could ask Coach or yourself, Mackenzie, that let's just take the media for example, to kind of get a rotation on it, per se, get everybody some ink, I guess you would say. That's how my dad would put it. I mean, we've gotten more into the video portion of things now, but kind of get everybody familiar with talking with the media and talking, whether it be KSI or East County Sports or what have you. Because I noticed that a lot, and Mackenzie, you were great at it. I mean, you were, hey, give me.
We got our own feature on KUSI. I mean, I'm out there working on my drop step.
No, yeah. So I mean, about how I there was always someone who stepped up, and so the names I threw at you were constantly shifting because the girls were constantly stepping up, and there's always someone new stepping up. And so I think that just by circling your name in the newspaper, it just grew their confidence as well. But I mean, that was on the court first. Like, the names I would give you were the names or the girls who stepped up in the game and who were a huge factor to however that outcome was. And so I think the girls grew on the court and then off the court with you guys. So it was just a cool thing to watch with the girls.
And your coverage does make a difference. Those girls do read that, and they look forward to seeing their name in there. But Mackenzie gets enough headlines all the time. I mean, she puts the point. I mean, she leads the county in scoring. I mean, she's going to get her point. But really, the effective part is when our team played well is when everybody is doing their job. Not everybody's job was to score points, and so it takes a really special group of girls be willing to be, my job is to take the ball out of bounds, or my job is to pass it to the next open girl, or my job is to weak side rebound. Those are things that they're unsung. I mean, you don't get credit for them, but we win if you do those things. And so Mackenzie does a good job with her teammates. They have a special relationship, and her job is to score points. And if she doesn't score enough, then we lose 51-50.
And that was what was actually impressive to me. Not only that, Mackenzie, but the group of girls that you had. Your Coach Curtis, mentioned maturity, and one of the biggest things, even for us, it's it reciprocates, and that means I've been having your players, once the story was written or the video was up or we did an interview live. Um, if it wasn't Mackenzie, it was Tiffany. If it wasn't Tiffany, it was JC saying, "Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. It really gave us a boost." Or, you know what, my parents were in town, and those are the things that I think makes it worthwhile for you guys, for the players, for us. I mean, it shows you how tight the East County community is. It really is, and how we're really I think a different type of county than any other, honestly, and that's just my opinion. But I think, but your players have been just phenomenal on
Yeah, I think
the recognition.
I mean, we love it. Like he said, like we really appreciate it. Write about us or after like anything like that. It means so much to us and the girls. It's just something special, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, just really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, this is the setup, Coach. And Brandon kind of teased Mackenzie yesterday about it and her interest in education. And you see a couple of our coaches that Dave's friends with here, your friends, younger coaches, female coaches, to be honest. And you could see a lot of Coach Franey kind of in Mackenzie. It wouldn't surprise me, Dave, if we're talking, 6 or 7 years down the line, and we've got Coach Mackenzie Curtis of the Capitan Vaqueros. I'm sure. I mean,
you get those.
Or at one of the schools, anyways. I mean, that's where it's headed. Mackenzie, she's a coach on the court already, and
that's a fact. That's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
Well, actually, one of the qualities that New Mexico is after is that ability to talk on the court is hard, but it's contagious, and so other girls start doing more of it because they learn how to do it. And if you can talk while you're out on the court, I mean, you're able to see what's going on, and it just makes you just that much more aware of your surroundings, and you're a play ahead of everybody else because you're running commentary.
Coach, would you say that that's probably the hardest portion of coaching girls basketball is, in fact, getting them to communicate on the court and get them to mesh like that? I mean, to me, as a writer and a spectator, that's what it looks like to me is probably one of the most difficult to get it to jive.
I mean, for the meshing part, we're a family. Like as a team, that was never an issue with us. I mean, we're probably we're sisters. Like that's it. End of story. But for the talking portion, I mean, that comes with confidence, and I think that's once our team started to really get confidence, their level of talking went up as well. So I mean, it's kind of like what comes first, talking, and so when you have both, it just makes you that much better of a player. And I think a lot of our girls started to do that this season. Tiffany was one of them, and so was, like I said earlier, Emma Driscoll and Shy. All three of them stepped up tremendously on the talking portion. And then, like, the responsibility and confidence, Stephanie Nickel was huge this season, just on bringing her confidence to the team. But for the meshing, we're all sisters, and so we all had each other's back throughout this whole season.
I would.
Dave,
it was them. The part they struggled with was calling each other out, and that because they were friends, they didn't want to. But there are times you got to hold each other accountable, and that was harder for this team than teams I had in the past. I mean, teams in the past would easily call each other out. But you have to check your friendship at the door, and you got to get the job done and hold each other accountable.
Well, that's interesting because when you think about it, and I'll kind of tie it back into coaching, because you have Tiffany Bickford, is the daughter of a coach. You have Stephanie Yackel, daughter of a coach. I mean, Wally was one of the craziest coaches you ever want to watch coach in this county ever, right, when he was coaching the Braves. So I
love volley.
factor in Coach Curtis. That factor in at all? Maybe they. I don't know. They're getting coached. You're the coach, but you're getting
It
coached
does.
up.
What happens is it's a fine line as a coach, getting out of the way and let them. They're leading their stretches at the end of practice. They're leading their pregame talks at the whiteboard. They're setting their goals. We have a goal circle. Stephanie Yackel led that. So each one of them stepped up and would be at the whiteboard writing down the goals for every girl of the game, the team goal, and they did all the pregame talk. Nothing fancy, I would say. But they would just it would be their way of holding each other accountable and building each other up at the same time. Yeah, they learn how to being a coach. My dad was a coach too, and so you just learn that. It just becomes what you do, and Mackenzie's got the same qualities.
And I think that I mean the way that everything's going now, and you know, even with the current situation going on in the world, and then from going from just the typical articles and getting just the ink for the quotes, but being able to do something like this, I think I'd like to think that you know, if Bill Dickens were still around, he would definitely think that this was something pretty cool, and definitely be proud to see what you guys are doing and how it's all evolved. It's just it's so much so much for the kids now. I mean, it really is. I every time Ramon and I talk about it, I mean, I didn't know how to put it together. Should I write an article? Should I invite him on? And then Ramon said, why don't we get Coach on too? And I said, yeah. And then he said, well, let's get Coach Dylan on too. Let's just get everybody on there. You know, just let's change it up. Let's always evolve. I mean, that's what keeps you interested. That's what keeps you guys more marketable, whether it be as a team or as an individual or being recruiting, as far as I'm concerned. So, and keep you guys
in. So especially being in lockdown. First off, your dad, she was sleeping in the booth at the pizza place when your dad would be calling me to get the quote for the night. And Mackenzie's sleeping in the booth. She passed out because she's at the game, and then pizzas usually ran long. But
for years, I bet.
Yeah, and I mean, your dad was an innovator on the ink, and now I mean, this is where it's going. And so, just today, so Dylan has all the type of stuff. He's got them posting their daily workout or Stampede out on the see, it's past me too. Dave. You posting it on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, whatever. I don't know what they're doing, but they're posting their daily workouts of what they're doing and challenging each other to do their workout. So Mackenzie posted hers today. She was out in the rain doing hers today. So I mean, but the kids love filming themselves as well. So it's the media. That's where it's going, and us dinosaurs got to get out.
Right. I mean, that's where I've struggled with it. I mean, your dad would be proud, Dave, would be mad because I have technical problems. I get things wrong, but we're not stopping, and we're not stopping because of your dad, Dave. So don't worry about that. I mean, the only thing that's stopping it, I mean, I got to tell you, this has been so enjoyable. The last 45 minutes, it's kind of made me forget about, what we're all supposed to be thinking about right now and what, bothering us all right now in our minds, just talking to you guys about these memories and these players going back. Coach Curtis, I'm going to hold you to the fire a little bit. Next year, it's going to be Mackenzie's last year. You've been coaching a long time. You're going to want to watch her play college basketball. Are you going to coach the Capitan Vaqueros after next year, or coach basketball?
I will be involved. I got a couple things. I'm getting it. I finally, after all these years, got a gym being built at my middle school. So my focus is going to go back down there. Now I got a key to a gym. I'll go down there and work on it. So I think Dylan and I will flip our roles after next year. Let him take the head job, and I'll go back down and focus on the youth kids with the new gym. In fact, the gym is being named after my dad. at Tierra del Sol Middle School. So it's a lot of other things going up on the side as well. Taking off to New Mexico and that as well. So I think Dylan wants to take over. In fact, he sends on my calls all the time right now. So maybe he's watching right now.
Well, Coach, with that being said, too, I want to make sure that we take care of that for you as well, and that can be talked about and discussed at another day as it approaches. But we'd love to do like an opening day of when that does take place, and unveiling of the gym and all that good stuff, and add it to the page, and I mean we're all growing. I mean, we're all growing with this thing, whether it be the kids, whether it be ourselves, and I mean, that's what I think that's what it's all about, is especially in a situation like this, the community coming together and kind of wiping your mind off of this other stuff. I mean, it's real. Yes, we need to be cautious, but let's get some positive vibes out there, and look forward to the future of Mackenzie Curtis, of Coach Curtis, Ramon, and myself, and the future of ECS. I mean, I think that's the way that the mindset should be of the country, honestly. That's just my opinion, though.
I'd like to see it, Dave, where, maybe, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, Mackenzie goes and has a fine career at New Mexico. We'll do one like this, and we'll remember back to this moment, because, this is a moment in time that we're all going to remember, for better, for worse. We're probably doing the right thing here. I think, I think the governor made a courageous decision today, and we'll all be better for it. We're just going to get through this, and we'll remember. We'll talk about it. We may even joke about it. We're sorry that so many people are feeling pain, but we'll go on the air and we'll bring Mackenzie in from Albuquerque. We'll have Coach Curtis in from Lakeside. We'll do a little reunion. Remember this this night and this series of events. Mackenzie, congratulations once again.
Absolutely.
Good call, but get it done. So get it done early. Make that commitment and focus on getting that league championship next year and then some.
Thank you.
And before we let you go, in reference to that, you haven't already put the ink in, because I would like to, if possible, if they let us out for something like that, I would like to do something like that, or even if we had to put it on live like we're doing right now, broadcast you inking your deal with the University of New Mexico.
I think they do have a signing day. I want to say November 1st, I think, in El Cap.
Yeah,
I
so it's not going to be for a while. So it definitely has to be my So I'm not sure when.
Yeah, the way we're going, the season might not even start until February or something.
Boy, I'm hoping. I'm hoping this gets cleared up myself.
God bless you guys so much, and Dave, God bless you, and I love you, and love to everyone out there. Please stay safe. We want to see everybody back in the gyms and on the ball fields and on the iron next year, right?
Well, thanks for making it work via the Skype. So.
Yeah, right. I mean, like I said, Dave, when we first came on backstage, we don't have anything else to do. We could probably sit here all night, but let's let the Curtises enjoy their evening, play some board games, watch Disney Plus.
Well, all I got to say is I'm just glad as coaches that we can make it work, and we were able to at least get yourself and Mackenzie out there and give somebody an hour, or even go back and watch something positive, and be able to your recruiters to go back and look at some things that we discussed, and something that you have to look back on too. We got through 9/11, we got through this now. and it just be another one for the scrapbook. So I just want to say to you and Coach, just I appreciate covering you guys. I look forward to covering you some more in the future. And it's been an absolute pleasure. El Capitan High School as a whole, all the programs have been fantastic to the Dickens family and to Ramon.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. It's going to be a great season next year. Thank you so much, Mackenzie Curtis Jr., Mackenzie Curtis of the El Capitan Vaqueros, and longtime head coach Darren Curtis of the El Capitan Vaqueros. For Dave Dickens, I'm Ramon Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.